Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. How you doing? Happy Wednesday. Top story is everything Trump is doing. He is hammering the judge that tried to stop his deportation flights. There's an interesting conversation to be had there. There's also some sparks between sanctuary cities and the Department of Justice. Are they actually going to do something about that? He's also got the relationship with Mexico and Canada kind of on the rocks, but there's hopes that these kids can work it all out. Here to make some sense of it, my first guest, Connor Vasil. Welcome back, Connor Vasil.
Thanks for having me, sir.
So this guy has been super duper busy. I'd like, what do you talk about first? We got a lot going on. We have, where I'd like to start? The White House speaking out. Trump has, Pam Bondi has spoken out against the terror attacks on Tesla. Although I cringe to call it that a little bit, but it does meet the definition. Violence, intimidation, property destruction for a political purpose. I mean, what your thoughts on this? Are they actually going to do something?
Well, like you said, I definitely think it is a form of terrorism. You saw some hackers announce today, I believe, they've sent out all the information regarding Tesla owners, and as you saw with all the damage done to dealerships and cars, this is just facially terrorism. They're using this to intimidate. They're using it to scare them into, I don't know, I guess not supporting Tesla for whatever reason they want, but. Considering how fast this administration has been going, I think they're definitely going to start investigating it, just like they have been with the recent swatting attempts.
Right. That's another thing. The thing that kind of surprises me is I have a feeling that with all the swatting, with all the terror attacks on Tesla and what's going on, they're pushing people away. I don't think this is what the American people are looking for or what they're going to think is cool. Is this going to end up hurting their brand in the end, Connor?
This is basically the schoolyard bully that slaps you around saying, wait, you don't want to be my friend? Why not? Here, let me slap you some more. They're basically doing that with the Constitution, with American citizens, and just our country in general. They have gone to the point either because they don't have the foresight into seeing how this will pan out, or maybe they're just that radical. I'm talking about the people who are, intimidating and damaging property. They think their only recourse at this point in time is to actually do physical damage. And it just shows how obsessed they are and irrational they are in terms of politics.
Well, the other thing you had brought up, the swatting, that's something I have on the list to talk about today. Juanita Broderick got swatted. If for those of you you're like, that name sounds familiar, that's who Bill Clinton raped in the late 70s. And I allegedly, reportedly, whatever. She actually has a date, a time. She has witnesses who saw her bruises because he bit her lip. She immediately told people afterwards. Like there's actual evidence for this. Other people can confirm that she had a meeting at a hotel and she went up to his room. Big mistake there, but didn't deserve a rape. She got swatted last night. So God, y'all held her down. Y'all raped her first, and then y'all went and made fun of her and called her all kinds of names when she brought it to the public light. And now you shamed her and tried to ostracize her from public life. And now you're swatting her.
It's horrible. If anything, all these instances, all these acts of intimidation, and even at some points violence, what it should remind Americans that this is what could have happened if we had Kamala as president. This sort of irrational intimidation, just constantly nonstop. If you think it's bad under Trump, can you imagine under a Democrat administration?
Well, I don't think they would be nearly this upset. I think if Kamala had won, there wouldn't be Teslas on fire everywhere. There wouldn't be people getting swatted. There wouldn't be protests every weekend down here in City Hall in Dallas and in Fort Worth and in Denton and whatever else.
Can I tell you what would have been more likely in place? Sure, there wouldn't be as many Tesla fires and swattings and things, but there probably would have potentially gotten to the point where we've been having laws on the books saying, well, if you say this specific thing, that's hate speech, and we're going to investigate you for it. And they're going to keep going after, let's say, pro-life protesters. And it's just a different form of censorship that'll come about at the end of the day. But, would you rather have it from the grassroots, as we're seeing now, chaos?
Connor,
Uh,
are you looking at my notes? Because I was about to use that word with the next thing I'm bringing up with you. They're also having their hissy fits at the town halls. Now, not Tim Walls' town hall. They let
no,
him,
no.
there's just raucous applause. I mean, it sounds like the beginning of Saturday Night Live where everyone's, whoa, look, it's Tim Walls. Come on, loser. But the problem with them heckling all these other town halls is there's a guy around here, a state rep and a congressional representative who have canceled town halls because there's no point. These protesters just show up and shout them down. And here you have, it's called the heckler's veto, but it really is a de facto censorship.
Exactly. I mean, it just depends on where you want to see it from. Do you want to see it from the government, or do you want to see it from these wokies down the street? But at the end of the day, it just shows how much we need to, as Americans in general, get back and become involved in politics, in civics, and to raise a new generation that actually is knowledgeable of how these processes work, as opposed to just getting fed everything they want off of TikTok.
Yeah, I hear you. Connor Vassell, where do we find some of your work these days?
Thank you, sir. You can find me on the Twitter X, as they say, at Connor_Vasile. That's V as in Victor.
So I don't know what to call it. Is it Twitter or X or Twitter X or X Twitter or what? We still haven't figured this one out.
I'll go by X. It's okay.
That's fine. It's terrible branding though, because no one knows what you're talking about. Hey, did you get that X I sent? X what? Ex boyfriend? X Xerox? What are we talking about? The letter X? I don't know. But everyone knows what a Twitter is because it's only one word used for one thing, and X is used as a letter of the alphabet. It marks the spot. 800-288-9227. Let's get right back into this next. They swatted Juanita Broaddrick. How much can they persecute and try and ruin one woman's life who did nothing wrong but get raped by someone on Team Blue, by Bill Clinton? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Homeowners, listen up. You get a house inspected, and they're like, you need to fix up these things before you can sell it. And you're like, oh, no, my gables have a rotted board, or something wrong's with your chimney, or maybe you need you need a roofer, but you don't know any roofers. What do? Well, you don't go down the road and call someone who stuck their sign in the median of a road. That's not what you do. When you're making a left turn, you see a sign there, I think I'll call that guy. No. That's not what you do. James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. You want a company that you know has been around for 31 years, and you don't have to trust me. Go to their website, blueribbondfw.com. They have links to all their fantastic Google reviews. Look at how many 5-star reviews they have. And then go find out if that sign that's sitting in the median of Beltline somewhere actually has a record like that. I doubt it, because what we're dealing with here is a family company. You're dealing with your neighbors, a family company who started this 31 years ago, and now their adult son is helping them out, taking over the day-to-day operations, and so they'll be around. They'll be there's someone that you can trust that if something goes wrong and you call them and they have a warranty on it, they'll be able to at least honor it. Will that guy in the median be able to honor it, like John and Tish and their son Trevor? Try them. Go to blueribbondfw.com. There's nothing to worry about. There's no risk. They'll come out, they'll inspect it, and that part is free. If there is some work to be done, they'll work through your options. They'll help you with financing or getting the insurance to pay for it. They're used to that paperwork. I know you're not. I cringe at it too. That's why you go to blueribbondfw.com. Mention you heard it on the James Show. Free ridge vent ventilation upgrade. You don't know what that is? Trust me, it's nice. You want it. So mention the James Show when you go to blueribbondfw.com. blueribbondfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. What makes people do this? What makes people be this extreme in their beliefs, whether it's political or social or moral or even religious? Like, what makes people do this? What makes people go to a town hall and shout it down? What makes people say, I've got to set this car on fire? I am so angry about my politics. I don't get it. How does that change anything? Oh, you're trying to intimidate your political opponents into what? Cowering? You're trying to intimidate people who maybe don't own the Tesla but look around saying, well, I better not step out of line or that could be me. You think you're the good guy? How do you explain this behavior? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. 288-9227. What makes someone call a SWAT team on all these people? We were talking about that a little bit yesterday and on Monday as well, and it's still going on. The latest victim of the swatting, since we started talking about it just a couple days ago, Juanita Broaddrick was swatted. You people are terrible human beings. Are you nuts? You're swatting Juanita Broaddrick. You know, this is the believe all women thing. Oh, really? Believe all women? What about Juanita Broaddrick? Oh, no, not her. Oh, no, she's clearly just lying for political purposes. But it's not just Juanita Broaddrick. Gunther Eagleman, Nick Sorter, Juanita Broaddrick, Mike Lee. You know who else got swatted? Joe Pags, Joe Pagliarulo. Hey, I meant to ask you before the show. I might as well do it now. Garrett, can we get Joe Pags on? He got swatted, I think it was on Thursday. And I want to talk to him about what that was like, and because we have a guy that's on our station in the middle of one of the biggest stories of the month. So, yeah, so we got him on before. So I would love to talk to him about that. What makes people do that? What makes you think you're in the right if you're calling a SWAT team on your political opponents? And the Juanita Broaddrick one is, like, I wasn't even going to talk about it today until I found out about Juanita Broaddrick. Because, I mean, how much can you just ruin one woman's life? Because it's not the same thing as all these other ones. Like Brett Kavanaugh had never been accused of rape or sexual assault in his entire life, and some woman shows up without a date, without a location, without even a year, without even she knows the town, but she knows it was during the summer, but she doesn't know which summer, she doesn't know which house, she doesn't even know which neighborhood. The 4 people that she claimed were there all said that they have no idea what she's talking about, but still, we almost upended a Supreme Court justice confirmation for no evidence, for nothing but he did it, and I have no evidence, and I didn't tell anybody about it, and there's no one who will back me up on this. And she was believed, and she's still believed. There's still people who call Brett Kavanaugh a rapist. But Juanita Broaddrick was accusing Bill Clinton. Do you know how many people are on the Bill Clinton sex list? I typed this out, like 15 years ago. I can't believe how much I've had to use this. I actually keep a list of all the sexual assault and rape accusations against Bill Clinton, all the consensual affairs that they've admitted to and they're confirmed, and then all of the consensual but unconfirmed affairs. You want to go through the list real quick? This woman wasn't believed because Juanita Broaddrick is first. This happened in the 70s. I think he was just the Attorney General of Arkansas. I think this was before he was even governor. But it was her, then Eileen Wellstone at Oxford when he was in England, Elizabeth Ward Grayson, Regina Hopper Blakely, Kathleen Willey, Sandra Allen James, an unnamed 22-year-old in 1972 at Yale, Kathy Bradshaw, Christy Zerker, Paula Jones, Carolyn Moffitt, unnamed 1974 student at the University of Arkansas. We have a report from 78 to 1980. There were 7 complaints to the Arkansas State Troopers that they swept under the rug about their governor. Linda Tripp, Betty Dalton. Those are the rapes and sexual assault accusations. Here's the consensual, publicly admitted and confirmed affairs. Monica Lewinsky, Jennifer Flowers, Kyle Browning, Sally Perdue, Marcia Scott, Connor Hamsey. The consensual but unconfirmed affairs, Mary Jo Jenkins, Susan Coleman, Robin Dickey, Lenora Steinkamp, Kimba Wood, Kelly Craighead, Charlene Wilson, Dee Dee Myers, Susie Whiteacre, Catherine Cornelius, Cheryl Mills, Bobby Ann Williams. So here we go. I mean, some of these people have claimed that he's like fathered their children or he paid them or whatever. And we didn't believe Juanita Broderick when she came out and made her accusations. You know, if there's all this smoke, there's got to be fire. Or there's not just smoke. This looks like the Pacific Palisades a few months ago. That's what's going on. And we still didn't believe Juanita Broderick. And she's tried to make her case and she's tried to, get some justice for her suffering. And of course, she's tried to make political points as well. But after calling her all kinds of names and calling her a liar and trying to ruin her entire life constantly for the last 50 years almost, now she's getting swatted. People are terrible human beings. And that's the question. What makes people do this? And I don't want to just ask rhetorically. I want to try and give you an answer. I go to John Cleese, and I don't know what year this is. John Cleese from Monty Python. Everybody know who I'm talking about. He was in Quest for the Holy Grail and The Life of Brian. You'll recognize his voice the second you hear it. I don't know when he did this. It looks like it was in the 80s, and you can kind of tell because the audio very clearly sounds it comes from a VHS tape. But this is the best explanation I've found so far on why people become extremists like this.
We've heard a lot about extremism recently, a nastier, harsher atmosphere everywhere, more abuse and bother boy behavior, less friendliness and tolerance and respect for opponents. All right, but what we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good because it provides you with enemies. Let me explain. The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies and all the goodness in the whole world is in you. Attractive, isn't it? So, if you have a lot of anger and resentment in you anyway, and you therefore enjoy abusing people, then you can pretend that you're only doing it because these enemies of yours are such very bad persons. And that if it wasn't for them, you'd actually be good-natured and courteous and rational all the time. So, if you want to feel good, become an extremist. Okay. Now, once you're armed with one of these super lists of enemies, you can be as nasty as you like and yet feel your behaviors morally justified. So you can strut around abusing people and telling them you could eat them for breakfast and still think of yourself as a champion of the truth, a fighter for the greater good, and not the rather sad paranoid schizoid that you really are.
Is Monty Python really just like secret geniuses? They're pretending to be dumb? Is that what's going on? All right, coming up next, tax filing deadline coming up in less than a month. I'll get you some tips to get you prepared. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're going to talk about something I know you absolutely love. You can't wait, right, to pay your taxes. Isn't that right, guys? And then don't you love okay, I was wrong on that one. Well, then good. You're going to like my next guest, Nicole Benoni Wilson. She's a tax controversy manager at Prager Metis. Nicole, what does that mean, a tax controversy manager?
Well, I promise it's not too controversial. We end up helping taxpayers with different taxing agencies like the IRS in various states with unpaid liabilities, disputing balances, helping with penalty abatements, sort of some things like that. So,
are you a CPA?
I'm currently 2 tests in, but on the way to being one. But I'm the daughter of an attorney CPA, so you know, I've had some few conversations.
Good. Just want to get that out of the way. Let people know what your expertise is. So let's talk about the tax filing deadline coming up in less than a month. Is there any big changes from this year compared to years past?
Well, I think it's common knowledge here. The IRS is in a flux, so there's a lot of unknowns. So what can the average taxpayer do this tax filing season to prevent any future headaches? And my top 3 recommendations, obviously, is number 1, decide who's going to prepare your return. Are you going to prepare your return yourself, a friend, or a professional? If you're hiring a professional, do the due diligence. Number 2, gather the tax documents. Gather your W-2s, your K-1s, your 1099s, your summaries of your capital gains and losses. And number 3, set up an IRS account. Go to irs.gov, look for that ID Me. Take a look, see what's been reported to the IRS. You have something at your fingertips called a wage and income transcript. And this is all the income that has been reported under your Social Security. Now, typically, you don't see everything until May, and there's additional sources. But, you know, sometimes you forget what source of income you have. I mean, I'm lucky sometimes if I remember what I ate the night before. But, you know, you can also on this platform see what estimated tax payments you made, or if you had any liabilities from prior years. So I would highly encourage taxpayers to go and do that. It's an easy resource and free.
All right, Nicole, I think the big question, the first big question people have to face when preparing their taxes is, do I take the standard deduction and just do the easy shortcut way, or do I go off and itemize everything? How does someone know the answer to that question, Nicole?
So the itemized versus standard, your standard deduction for 2024, I believe off the top of my head, is $29,200. So if you got expenses, let's say like in charitable deductions, or you've got gambling losses, or let's say you got a casualty loss, I hope no one out there does. But, you know, if you have those expenses, there's different limits on those expenses. But if they exceed that threshold, and you're married filing joint over that $29,200, you're definitely entitled to take them. For example, though, like with gambling losses, you can only deduct up to the amount of winnings you have. And then for charitable contributions, it is subject to a 10%. Medical expenses, it's in anything excess of 7.5. So, you know, look, and again, as I said, circling back, gather those documents, start adding them up in a spreadsheet, and just see where the numbers fall at the end of the day.
Well, you had mentioned the gambling thing. What are the rules around that? Because this may be something that factors in. Irving is having a big controversy on whether or not they should build a casino. Hey, you might get a new tax write-off.
I mean, I lived in Oklahoma for 4 years, so I definitely know the drill. But with gambling, you know, you have to keep very clean records, and note that it has to be on the same type of gambling. So let's say you go to Casino A and you hit the slots and you win $1,000. and then you go to the next lot and you lose the $500. But then let's say you go to Casino B and you want to try your hand at some blackjack and you end up losing 2,000. You can't just deduct the slot winnings from Casino A against Casino B. You have to keep it very clear and at the type. You know, you've got this sports betting, and my current supervisor is trying to get this legislation as it varies state by state. New Jersey, they recognize the Fed's rules. Not all states do, so look into your state rules as well.
All right, Nicole, my last question is, you had mentioned find the right person to help you with your taxes and do your due diligence. What counts as due diligence?
So due diligence, just because you hire a tax professional does not mean that you've relieved yourself of all of your duties. Still stay on top of it. Ask, have they filed? Ask for the confirmation. This is some common mistakes I see with taxpayers. In your due diligence, look at the professional. See what type of filings that they're familiarized. You may need a foreign filing. Make sure they have that experience. Sometimes I would recommend visiting with a local CPA in the area. For example, my father hails from Western PA, and my boss is from New Jersey. Two very different state taxing authorities. I mean, when we had to live in Oklahoma and Texas, again, they're two very different. So do your due diligence and ask the questions and see if they're familiarized with the rules and where you're getting your wages, you know.
Well, I always feel it's very important to do everything you can to get your tax burden as low as possible because the government has not earned a tip.
Well, do your due diligence and visit with your tax professional and make sure that everything's above the line. So then you'll be in good hands.
Agreed. All right, Nicole Bononi Wilson from Prager Metis. How do they find you online?
Feel free. My last name rhymes with the lunch meat, Bologna Bononi, if you ever can't find me. But if you just Google my name, that's why I hyphenated.
Is that your Twitter handle, Bologna Bononi?
Yeah, but, you know, I should say there is no Bologna with Bononi. Just vote Nicole Bononi. So
Oh, my goodness.
my 8th grade president campaign.
That is such a dad joke. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate your expertise here as we go through the very much hated tax season. Coming up next, you're going to hear an undercover sting video. We have a school administrator in Capel who's bragging about getting around state laws that have to do with your kids' curriculum. You'll hear the audio next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the big show. There is a student an administrator at Capel ISD, and there was a sting operation from a group called Accuracy in Media. Now, we've used some of their material before. They've done some interesting undercover stings at different ISDs in the area. So this isn't our first touch with them. They seem to be fairly reliable, but let's just go ahead and put some legal separation. This is all reportedly, supposedly, whatever. We're not 100% this is true or whatnot. I don't know why they lie about it. They've never been busted before. But let me CYA for all the lawyers out there listening. That's a legal term, CYA. But this guy, he's going to be in trouble here because he's bragging about going around the law that was passed in Texas, banning CRT and certain specific curriculums in Texas public schools. And this guy is bragging about getting around that. And this is crazy because whether or not you believe in this, the curriculum, there's a law against it. It's illegal. You're bragging about breaking the law. Why do you guys... Anyway, the guy's name is Evan Whitfield. I'm sorry the audio is kind of muffled because it's on a secret camera filmed at an awkward angle. But here he is bragging about getting around the state law that's supposed to ban critical race theory in Texas schools.
I was worried with, I guess, Abbott passing laws and rules on what teachers can teach. Does it really end up affecting people on a local level? I don't know where you are politically, but it's like you have to learn a MAGA version of history instead of an accurate depiction of real-world events.
One thing that I love about this district is, despite what our state standards say and despite what, is going on, we do what's right for kids.
So the Abbott orders or whatever from a few months ago aren't really going to affect anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The bottom line is we've gotten around it by saying, well, we're just not teaching that. We kind of tap dance around calling it anything, because if I were to say Capel is teaching the NGSS science standards, the national next generation science standards.
Okay.
If I were to publish that on our website, that's when we would get a call from TEA.
Really?
Yeah. But are we still teaching NGSS-ish? Absolutely.
So they can't really control what's happening?
No, we just do the right thing at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, can't the teacher just close the door and teach what's right?
Man.
And I think that's what I'm told before. We teach what's right.
Man, that is so wild. Did you understand all that? I'm sorry if you're like in the car listening on AM, like an hour and a half in any direction. That might have been a little hard to understand. So let me just reiterate some of the stuff that was in there. I mean, the stuff at the end is what blew me away the most. It's like, at the end of the day, can't you just like close the doors and teach whatever is right? Meaning the stuff that's banned, critical race theory. And he had pointed out one of the curriculum packages that is used in all but like 8 states in the country. And that's specifically banned here. And he specifically mentioned that one by name, NSGG, whatever it's called, National Standards or something or other. So it looks like we have evidence right here that the guy, Evan, who is in charge of the curriculum, Capel ISD's director of curriculum, talking about how the district, not how they're going to get around it or how they could get around it or how they're thinking about getting around it, how they've already gotten around it. This looks like a guy is admitting to breaking the law. What do we do about that? I don't know. Homeschool, private school, keep an eye on these guys. But look, I don't know what the teeth are in this law, but if that law says someone needs to go to jail for breaking it, I mean, how much more compelling evidence do we need? If that video does turn out to be legit, and I have no reason to believe it's not, how bad do they need to teach our kids critical race theory and white people are evil and America's evil and all this other stuff that you don't want them to be learning? I mean, school choice, just as fast as possible. Can we get that, please? Because look, maybe you want to send your kids to that school. You should have the right to do that. But the problem here is we're all forced into the same prepaid government monopoly, and now we have to fight over the curriculum instead of having the choice ourselves. I mean, is there a better excuse for school choice? 800-288-9227, 288 9227. What should happen to this guy? Do we throw him in jail? I mean, that sounds like a weird solution. How about we just teach what the Texas Department of Education says? How about we just, here's an idea, follow the law. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. My next guest, the great Anthony Russo, who, if you haven't seen it already, go check out his walkaway story. I love those, Anthony, and I loved it when I found yours last year. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. I actually bumped into Brandon Straka on a plane about 2 weeks ago, and him and I talked for like 30 minutes from the Walkaway campaign. So,
well, shut up. That's pretty cool.
I know. Really good guy. Really, really good guy.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, he's the guy who started the whole Walkaway movement, if you call it that. But, Anthony, I want to play a clip here from Pam Bondi, our new attorney general in D.C., who says she's going to go after the Tesla attacks as terrorists.
We have people we're locking up on that. We have someone in jail right now from one of the dealerships. They threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison. So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you. Wow. And if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
Anthony, do you think they're really going to start throwing people in jail for 20 years for this? I mean, I kind of hope they do, but what do you think?
I mean, I don't think they'll actually. I mean, I think that they could push for 20 years. It's going to be up to the judges, and the judges can go in so many different directions. So I don't think that they're going to get 20 years. But I think that at this point, what's happening to Tesla owners, to Tesla dealerships, to Democrats that own Teslas that are just randomly getting their cars burnt up and blown up, this is getting to a serious level, and it speaks volumes to not just the fringe left anymore, because I don't see anybody in the Democrat Party condemning it. I don't see the AOC speaking up. Instead, they're actually putting fuel on the flame about how terrible Elon Musk is. Look, you can disagree with our president. You could disagree with the way Elon Musk is being tasked to do things. That's the great part about a free country. But you can't destroy and vandalize property. So you're becoming a domestic terrorist. And if it's 20 years that we want to put as the threat, I think that might be the only way to stop this psychotic group.
Well, we also have the real easy workaround here. If you want to scratch a swastika on a Cybertruck or throw a Molotov cocktail through the side window of a Cybertruck, buy it first and you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, exactly. Spend the $100,000. I was in an online argument, which I try to get out of these days, but I'm not even start. But I was watching somebody compare this to the Bud Light situation that happened.
I love that comparison. So yeah, I saw someone brought that up. Maybe I saw that on your Twitter. I don't know.
Maybe. To me, that is the worst equivalency on the planet. So he bought, like you just said, go buy the Tesla and then destroy it. He paid for a couple cases of Bud Light at a couple $100.
Are you talking about Kid Rock?
Kid Rock. Sorry, I forgot to say that. Yeah, Kid Rock bought it. He shot it up, destroyed it.
I have audio of that. There it is.
Perfect. And then in the end, it also created a boycott because I believe people, if they don't want to support Elon Musk or they don't want to support Tesla, they don't have to go buy them. I get we have a free market, free speech, free society. That's great. Let the market dictate. Doesn't mean you can destroy a $100,000 piece of property. So the fact that the left is bringing up this false equivalency shows the absolute idiocy that's coming from that side when they're trying to qualify this as, well, hey, this is us just standing up for our rights. No, this is you vandalizing individual and people's property the same way you did during the Summer of Love with BLM,
right,
and then got mad at January 6ers for walking into a building they were let into.
But
I don't get it.
Just the poetic irony of this, I love that, because that's the example I would bring up. Remember how 2 years ago the right wing was all mad? Did any Bud Light trucks get set on fire, Anthony? Did someone throw a brick through the window of a Bud Light brewery or a Bud Light distribution center? Did anyone go into anyone else's house and take their Bud Light and destroy it? No. So that's a perfect comparison. When the right wing gets upset, they may destroy some of their own property, but they're not going to go damage other people's properties. They're not going to set anything on fire. They're not going to go attack a business. They're not going to set vehicles on fire. So this is a perfect example. Which side is more well-behaved? Which side is more civilized? And which side is more terror-focused? And I don't mean to overuse the term, to water it down, but violence or intimidation or property damage for a political cause meets the basic definition of terrorism. And we get to see right now who is the bigger terrorist when it comes to political activism. Clearly, it's on one side.
And to top it off, you've got the politicians instead of trying to quell the destruction, instead they're continuing to speak of him being a Nazi, of Elon being
Right.
a Nazi, Trump. So
Right.
it's like you're not helping the situation. And you did say one thing that was wrong about bricks being thrown into bars and brewery and stuff like that. There was. But that was during 2020 when there were BLM riots for innocent bars. It just so happens there's probably Bud Light in them. But again, this is one specific party with one specific leadership. And I don't want to be political like, oh, it's the Democrats or the Republicans are great. They both have their issues. But right now, the Democrats that are standing behind this and being silent and complicit are no better than people that stood by. And I'm going to say the reference is really, really bad. During Nazi Germany, you're standing by watching these people destroy other people's property and potentially hurt other individuals. And you're saying, well, it's qualified.
Oh yeah,
You are
Crystal Knot,
sick
the night of broken glass, when they went through and they destroyed, they broke out the windows of all the businesses of their perceived political enemies. Yeah, I think that's, I kind of cringe at any Nazi comparisons, but that's there's a little bit of an echo there. Let's be non-political in the fact that I have actually seen a lot of my Team Blue friends, people who call themselves Democrat and voted for Kamala Harris, actually speak out against this. But I don't see a whole lot of people putting a microphone in front of their face. I see, some influencers online on Facebook and X and Instagram speaking out against this. And so I think there's a big chunk, maybe a majority of our Democrat friends who agree that this is wrong.
Apparently our algorithms are different. I kind of go seeking it, and I haven't seen people condemning this. I really have. So I trust you. Obviously, your experience.
I'll give you a big example. Do you know Angela Belcamino? She's the girl with the 5 head that's been a big Team Blue supporter this entire time.
I don't, but I love a big forehead. I need to check it out.
Well, I mean, look, she's a beautiful girl, but she's super duper lefty, and says that, hey, this is clearly wrong. I can't believe property destruction is on my lefty bingo card, and you people are defending it. So there are some little strands of hope out there.
That's really good, and I hope to see that. Maybe me talking it out loud where my phone can hear it. Maybe it'll all of a sudden change my algorithm. But I mean, I don't think it's enough. I think the CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs, and the actual politicians should be the one voicing this whole like, hey, let's stop with the violence and go forward. I think they're enjoying it because they're getting to use. I think Tim Walz was on stage. Holy nut job he is. He was on stage talking about every day how he's so excited about how Tesla stock is going down. The reason it's going down is because there's such a destruction of property. People are going to be it's a future situation. People are going to be afraid to buy his product because of the vandalism and destruction. And what was almost the vice president of the country is not just not condemning it, he's celebrating it. This is disgusting behavior.
Yeah, they're like, yay, this guy who was formerly our political ally turned against us, so let's destroy him and his entire company. Isn't that hilarious, guys? We're the good guys, right? They're the bad ones. Anthony Russo, how do we find your work online, sir?
Truth will set you free USA on Instagram is a good hub for it all. And as you know, I do some speaking classes. If anybody wants to join, they're free. Go to doubledownspeaking.com.
Doubledownspeaking.com. That's a new one. You added to the roster there. All right. Thank you, Anthony Russo. Appreciate it, sir.
Take it easy, brother. Later.
All right. Coming up next, the JFK files have been released. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I am not reading 80,000 pages of anything. All right. I've never read a book that long. I'm not about to start now. Can you go ahead and read that for me and sort of sum up what's in there? Would that be great? Has anyone read it so far? Can you call in and just give us a summary? What do you think's in there? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Find out some new info on the most important story of your life next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Something that may end up being historic, but I think may be a nothing burger, happened yesterday, and we haven't quite got it all fleshed out. The JFK files were released. An executive order had been signed. And finally, we have somewhere around the neighborhood of 80,000 pages. This is something like 63,000 documents and 2,100 PDF files, and God knows how long those PDF files are. I am not reading all that. I refuse. I'll just wait for the special to come out on Netflix, you know, like the little 8-episode miniseries on what the new JFK files say. But I think we're going to come back to the similar conclusion of the official report. Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I think that he definitely had some contact with some federal agency, CIA or something to that effect, at some point. My interest in this story isn't trying to litigate what happened about 10 blocks from here. Actually, we're really close to the X in the street over here. I'm not so worried about finding the full story to that as I am how this echoes what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania last week. Because the questions easily become, why have these files been hidden for so long? Well, there's something the government doesn't want you to know in them. Everybody associated with that event has long since passed away, so we don't have to worry about protecting the innocent or blowback against victims or, you know, finding the undercovers agents being doxxed and exposed. We don't have to worry about any of that. So the only rational explanation most of us are tossing around in my mind, I am, you probably are, is the fact that this makes the government right now look bad. Well, how could it make the government right now look bad? The CIA. The CIA, if they are involved and they took a guy who may have done this and just sort of pushed him in the right direction, there's no doubt that they had contact with him before. But so far, all I'm seeing is the people who have tried to read through this and go through it with AI and come out with stories just right before the James Show started is so far nothing new. Have you seen anything? Is there anything you'd like to share with the class? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is Tyler in Fort Worth, or is this Fort Worth and Tyler? You're on WBAP. What do you think?
Hey, James. Yeah, no, the documents, I mean, it's a historic moment, right? Hopefully we see the truth and the government's being truthful. But even when you're going through it, it just numbs your mind. And I'm the novice to all this JFK stuff. I was born in 1990, right? And so just going through it, just trying to like have an open mind about it. I mean, some of the documents you can barely read. I mean, some of the documents have like coding in it, like secret coding.
Tell me about it. What does coding look like?
Like,
I'd like to order a large pizza, please.
It's like ACJD, then it's like it keeps going like that, right? Like ZXYB, and then it'll go down about like, and that's not every document.
Do you need like the little Orphan Annie decoder pin to read it?
Right. You know, it's akin to that. I'm sure it's much more high speed.
Interesting.
What I'm giving credit for, but there's like correspondence to like leaders after his assassination, to Vietnam, to the Soviet Union at the time, Japan. I mean, the committees that were trying to get this released in the 90s, in the late 90s. Excuse me. And a lot of it just makes you feel more confused going into it than getting any clarity coming out. But, and like, there's even redactions that they can't do anything about today. And so like that have been marked out with like a black highlighter. But the black highlighter also looks electronic, so that has me suspicious. And, you know, I listened to Alex Jones, and one of the foundations that they're showing said that there's a third of that still missing.
Yeah. Because if it makes the CIA look bad, that could curtail like the public's appetite to continue allowing the CIA to do stuff like that, and it may, you know, turn the microscope on. Hey, you know, a lot of this echoes what happened in Butler last summer. So I'd like to get to the bottom of that. And just thank you very much for your breakdown there.
Just one more comment, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
The main thing that made my sparks fly up was the fact that there were so many documents about the CIA going into radio operations in Cuba. where they were doing, detailed mass like, counterintelligence or trying to.
All right, I thought you were
spread,
going to say
mass
something
media
quick. You want to finish this on the other side of the break? I got to go.
Hey, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That's Tyler in Fort Worth. Did you learn anything from the JFK files? What do you think happened? Are you even optimistic that we'll learn anything from the JFK files? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, sports fans. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. And I've been enjoying the hockey season now. The Stars made a late season trade, and they got a new stud, and they were already kicking butt last year, making it to the conference finals. So if you're starting to get hyped up for the postseason, remember Prize Picks, because unlike regular, boring old fantasy sports, the fun ends at the regular season, but not for Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And it has over 10 million active users, over $1 billion in awarded prizes. I got a few bucks of that too. But look, it doesn't have to be the Stars. Maybe you're a fan of Toronto and you want to say Austin Matthews. Will he have one or more hit today? You could look at Colorado. Cale Makar. Is he going to have more than 24 minutes on the ice? More or less. That's all you do. To make a lineup of 2 to 6 people, you can win up to 1,000 times your money, and you can do it with the cash that we give you. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, you get $50 with your first $5 play. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, and with your first $5 play, you get $50 in promo cash that you can play with and turn into some real money. Take that sports expertise and make some cash off of it with Prize Picks. Run your game. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Do you realize how awesome the astronaut rescue was yesterday? It was happening at the very tail end of the James Show. You could follow along on WBAP.com and watch the astronaut splash down. And for the quick backstory, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson have been these private billionaires who have made their fortunes in other arenas and then turned around and wanted to make spaceships. And so they three have been just blazing history, first private enterprise in space. And Boeing wanted to get in on that. Now, Boeing's a different animal because Boeing isn't a guy who made a whole bunch of money and decided that he's going to be the next astronaut or astronaut maker. Boeing's a company with a bunch of people, and they make most of the planes that are flying in and out of DFW and Love Field. They've been around. They're a known entity. But it's not like one singular guy. A big part of their income comes from defense contracts, and some people don't like that and whatever. But Boeing was making their first big flight up. I forgot what the name of their vessel was, but it was dropping off a couple folks to the International Space Station about 9 months ago. They were supposed to stay for 8 days. Then they were going to hop back on the Boeing Starliner or something, whatever it was called. But there was some problems. I think it was like the heat shield or the flux capacitor or something like that was messing up. And so they dropped off the astronauts at the space station, and then they decided it wasn't safe to take this thing back to Earth. And so the vehicle returned without them. Now, there are stories, and it's been said, Elon was talking to Joe Rogan 2 weeks ago, I think is where I heard this, that he offered to take his Space Dragon or whatever it's called up there and go rescue them. But the Biden administration turned it down. NASA said, no, we don't want this guy that is seen as on Team Red doing anything impressive right in the middle of an election cycle. And so now that Trump's in office, he gave him the green light. They set it up. They sent a ship up there to pick him up. They hopped in. They came back. Everything's great. Life saved. Just history. It's one of the biggest scientific advancements of your lifetime. Some of you were born before we went to the moon. Some of you were born before we even made it into space, Mom and Dad. But now we have private sector fellas just sending up their own spaceships to go pick up astronauts who get stranded on the space station and bring them home like it's nothing. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing what is being accomplished here? Now, the scale of this guy's never going to get the credit for the rest of your life because he's already seen as persona non grata, or actually literally Hitler by the mainstream media and legacy folks and people who are just politically attached to that narrative. And that's a damn shame. Because not only is Elon Musk doing what all but like 6 governments in the world can do, he's doing it 20 times cheaper than NASA ever did, even when you adjust for inflation. 20 times cheaper it is for him to send someone's big butt into space. And I mean that is fun. I'm not making fun of the astronaut size. In fact, they're all smaller than me. That's one of the prerequisites to be an astronaut. They're not sending up any 400-pound people. In fact, I'm too big, so I'm making fun of me too. Don't get all upset. No, well, we need a lot more fuel. We're going to need a bigger rocket, Garrett. But the amazing thing about what Elon Musk is doing is he has revolutionized space travel, of course, even above the other billionaires who have tried. He is doing space travel better than any government entity has ever done it. Cheaper, more efficiently, yeah, and also more quickly. This guy is sending up rockets faster than NASA ever could. He did 3 launches in the same day last week. One of them was sending the ship to go get these dudes. There was another one that was dropping off Starlink satellites. Another one was, I don't even know what. I just know there was 3 on the same day. So you have to start wondering, like, how is history going to view this fella? Because there were a lot of people throughout his career thus far comparing him to Thomas Edison, because Thomas Edison's a polymath. Wait a second. Do you know what polymath means, Garrett? I know Kimberly probably does, but Garrett, you know, That's when a guy has expertise in more than one field. Like he's a doctor and he's a lawyer and he's an engineer who can design bridges. Like Leonardo da Vinci is a polymath. Thomas Edison, a polymath. You know, he makes the telephone, he makes the gramophone, he invents the microphone just accidentally. And okay, thank you for the correction, Alexander Graham Bell. You know what I mean, though. He invented a lot of things in different subjects. Well, Elon Musk was one of the guys who started up with PayPal, and then he moved on to Tesla, and then he's moved on to SpaceX after that. Solar City, not a resounding success, but it's at least an attempt at an entirely different industry. But Starlink's a big one. Neuralink's another endeavor of his. And so this guy is just making huge accomplishments. And, you know, you marvel at what you can get done on a regular Thursday. Look at what this guy has gotten done. And so I'm starting to get past the fact that he's the Thomas Edison of our time and kind of scooting into he's the greatest inventor of all time. You know, like who progressed humanity in one single human being more than this guy. And look, I'm no Elon Musk writer. I'm not a huge fan of his, but man, give the dude his due. Who has done more? Who's made bigger inventions, especially in such, you know, dramatically different industries than Elon Musk? It's not only is he the greatest inventor of our time, is he the greatest of all time? Like, who's done Nikolai Tesla? Maybe, ironically, the namesake of his car company. But we're getting into some pretty rare territory with this guy. And so you think about it. If we have one of the greatest minds in human history, definitely of our time, what's the problem with him going through the government and trying to slim that up? I have no idea what people's problem is. How about we just let him go in there, do his thing, and see what the result is before we call it an absolute embarrassing failure, guys? Elon Musk has been pretty impressive and has a pretty good record of success thus far. Maybe, look, here's what I'm really hoping. When he gets done with all this goofy SpaceX stuff and Neuralink and all these other companies, can he come coach the Cowboys or maybe be the general manager? Can we get that to happen? Because our record of success pales in comparison to Elon Musk. A couple of things that just popped up that I think you need to know about. Ken Paxton, his staff heard me talking about the Capel ISD story earlier, and he volunteered to come on. He's going to join us at 4:05 on the James Show to talk about what he's doing to the Capel ISD when they admitted that it looks like they may have admitted on a secret camera that they're breaking the Texas state law against CRT. So that's coming up. Also coming up, and my next guest is David Alcott. We're going to talk about the Gen Z trend of revenge quitting. And I got to remind you, the next James Show listener meetup, Plano Sports Tavern, March 25th. That's this coming Tuesday, 7 p.m. It's at the corner of Parker and Custer. Plano Sports Tavern, March 25th, 7 p.m., Parker and Custer. I got a few giveaways from the WBAP prize closet. Some other people are going to bring some stuff to give out to other people. Bring whatever, give it out. I don't know what's going to happen here, but we'll try and have fun. I know we're going to crush some beers. So come out, have fun, meet me, judge me based on my appearance. Plano Sports Tavern next Tuesday. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. What are those crazy kids doing these days where they're doing something called revenge quitting? What is that? Let's ask my next guest. Returning to the James Show, David Alcott. Welcome back, sir. First, explain to us, old fuddy-duddies, what is this newfangled revenge quitting, sir?
James, thanks for having me back on again. The best way to really talk about this or define it is quitting is the most destructive way of creating a protest against what people are thinking is unfair treatment at work.
Okay, so what's different about revenge quitting versus just regular old quitting?
The timing is the big part of that, James. So a lot of this revenge quitting is happening during peak times of restaurants where a waiter will walk out on a shift.
Yes. Okay. So
Yeah,
you wait until a crucial time and then quit when it hurts the most?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's brutal. Where did this come from?
Well, it's been here for a long time, but it just hasn't been as prominent or as the size and volume that we're seeing today. And again, I hate to keep blaming social media, but so much more access to this type of behavior is, being seen by our kids, and they're seeing this as something to do, and they're just following and mirroring and matching that.
Yeah, and I try to not go too hard on the next generation for how they're misusing social media. But me and my friends, when I was growing up, we were idiots. And I can only imagine half of the stupid stuff we'd have done if we had these tools at our disposal.
And I am so thankful we did not have cameras or video things when I was dating or anything else I was doing in my younger days, because I would have been in a lot of trouble.
Well, if you're an employer, is there anything you can do about this? Just be nice to the younger people or what?
Actually, there's some really great strategies that a lot of our companies are using, and that is to really start understanding that the relationship with your employee now starts from the interview process. And there's some great questions you can ask us, scenario-based questions. For example, did you hear about that Amazon employee that quit in the middle of their shift during their route? They left the trucks and the packages right on the road. How do you feel about that? What do you think the company should do with that employee? The answer to that from that in the interview will give you a lot of insights about how they think about the workplace.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
the appropriate ways to exit.
Love that. That's fantastic advice. All right, David, sorry to cut it so short. We have the Attorney General coming on next segment. I got to get the heck out of here. Your website still samuraisuccess.com?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, David. We'll have to do it something longer next time. But that sounded like solid advice. Feel them out. Hey, what happens if you're an employer gets screwed over by an employee? What should happen to him? I love that. All right, revenge quitting. Just don't do it to me, Garrett. Garrett will walk out like in the middle of the show one day. I guess that would be revenge quitting. All right, coming up next, special guest, the Texas Attorney General of all people, volunteered to come on the show to talk about the lawsuit he has against Capel ISD, just a few exits up the highway here, about them sneaking around a Texas law. That's coming up on the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. My next guest, you've definitely heard of him before. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's back on the James Show. And I'm loving this, Ken, because I was talking about this earlier in the show, the case against Capel ISD. I played the audio from the undercover video of the guy bragging about getting around the new Texas state law against certain curriculum. So tell me, what happens next?
Well, obviously we saw that too, and that's a little bit of a problem, violating state law and sort of flaunting the fact that you're not going to follow state law. So we sued Capel ISD today for violating that state law, which stops them from teaching critical race theory. And so anyway, we'll just pursue that in the Dallas courts. And our goal is to get an injunction which would prevent them from going forward with teaching what is considered illegal under Texas law.
Well, let's talk about what kind of punishment he's facing. Is this the first case we've seen under this law?
I think it is. I feel like we've done some in the past, but it hasn't been anything recent. It's been something, it seems like it was a year ago. We did one other case like this, but we haven't had, you don't always have people report or even have video of a school district flaunting Texas law. Pretty good evidence.
Yeah, no kidding. So did he get arrested? Is he in jail? Or is this like a civil lawsuit situation?
It's a civil lawsuit. It's the legislature. The only thing they have given me the authority to do is to stop it. Just an injunction. There's no consequence to this person or to the school district unless once we get an order from the judge, which we should eventually, stopping this teaching of critical race theory. And once we have that injunction in place, if they violate the injunction, the judge can issue whatever consequences result from violating that. But as it stands now, the Texas legislature doesn't really have any much of an enforcement mechanism or any kind of punishment. It's all just an injunction to stop the bad behavior.
So this guy's not going to go to jail, or is he going to get fined? I really have no idea what's going to be on the other end of this case.
So that ends up being local district. They will decide if they're okay with this person violating state law and doing it, pretty bluntly and openly. Then they can certainly allow him to stay at the school. Now, should he stay at the school? I mean, if I were a parent in that school district, I'd certainly want some consequence for somebody openly violating state law and knowingly doing it.
Ken Paxton, I'm not hearing a whole lot of teeth in this law. What's the incentive for people to not break this law in the future if this guy's just going to get a slap on the wrist, if anything?
Almost none, other than you get stopped if you get caught. But as far as who knows, most of these people don't get caught. So your greatest risk is you get caught and they stop you from doing it. But that's what the legislature's put in place. And my job is to enforce whatever they put in place. I don't get to write the laws anymore. I'm not in the legislature. It would be nice if there were some negative consequence associated with violating state law.
Yeah, that kind of seems like it would be more effective too. I'll talk to state reps about that in future interviews, Ken. But the other thing that makes me think of you is all these swatting incidents. They swatted Juanita Broaddrick. They've swatted all kinds of conservative influencers. You got swatted last year. Your response?
Well, look, I mean, this is dangerous, and it's obviously meant to put people in great danger. So when you have law enforcement potentially breaking down your doors with guns, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, somebody could react in self-defense, not knowing what's going on, but certainly create an intense moment if you happen to be there. And unfortunately, I was out of town, and fortunately, they went to my neighbor's house to check on my house since no one was there. It was over Christmas, and we were out of town. So nothing bad happened. He stopped them from breaking our door down because they were literally contemplating breaking the door down and going in because they'd been told horrible things had happened at my house. So yeah, there ought to be severe consequences for doing that to people because you create such great risk. Plus, you put law enforcement at risk. You put all the first responders who showed up at my house at risk. And frankly, there ought to be a fairly significant consequence for doing that.
What is the consequence for it now? What happened to the guys that did it to you?
Well, they couldn't trace them. They did it through some phone that was untraceable. So nothing happened. We don't know who did it. And so some of these people are pretty good at hiding their identity. At the time, there were any laws related to swatting because it was such a new phenomenon. I don't know if the legislature has contemplated anything this session, but maybe when you have those state reps on, it's past filing deadline to file bills, but it's certainly something that they could add as an amendment to another bill.
All right. Ken Paxton, I appreciate your time, and thanks for jumping on. Keep an eye on those guys. These teachers, man, they don't care what the law is. They just insist on teaching this stuff that the voters clearly don't want.
That's exactly right, and it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate right now. The only thing we do is stop it if we find out about it.
All right. Well, there's your neighbor and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on the James Show. I appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool stuff. By the way, Ken Paxton is a guy, I've seen him go to events and just take questions from the crowd, and some people will be kind of hostile. Yeah, well, what do you got to say about this? And he just answers them. So this guy, even though I don't agree with him on all the political things, I agree with him on most political things, and I've seen him face more scrutiny than most guys in public life. So kudos to him. And we'll keep an eye on that for you. I look forward to some juicy updates on what happens there. Coming up next, you're going to hear my favorite audio of the day, a DoorDash driver, or not DoorDash, he was delivering groceries is what he was doing. And turns out this guy's got some game. You'll hear how a guy turned a delivery into a date next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the big show. This next story, I have just nothing but admiration for this scenario here. And, on one hand, like, this guy has game, but on the other hand, he didn't really have game. She's the one who accelerated the conversation in an interesting direction. Viral video happened. It's from someone's Ring doorbell camera. And a guy's coming to deliver groceries. If you've ever ordered groceries online, some dude comes up in their regular old car and pulls it out of their trunk and puts it on your porch, and then they're on their way. And then after that, you probably never see them again. Well, that's definitely not what happened in this scenario. This guy who delivers groceries ends up scoring a date. Listen to how this worked out. Oh, and let me go ahead and describe the situation here. First, the woman, she sounds kind of old. I don't know if she's smoking Marlboro Reds or whatever, but she looks like she's 25, maybe 30. The guy dropping it off looks like a regular. Guys just look regular. I mean, he's not like fat or skinny. He just looks like an avatar for just generic dude. But she's actually a beautiful woman, and it goes down really good for him. Check this out.
Hey. I didn't order any groceries today.
Yeah, you did?
No, I didn't. I know I didn't.
Yeah, this is 150. 150, Acorn Drive.
No. This is 164.
Nah.
No, I'm pretty fine. I didn't order anything. I don't think anybody else here did.
You didn't order anything?
No. I mean, I need a few things. What about you leave some stuff and I cook you dinner, and maybe we can do a little trading off or something?
I can do that. I don't even care. I'm tired of this job.
Well, you got some good stuff in here. I could make some chicken and some mashed potatoes and stuff. Do you want to stay? Maybe we can trade off for the groceries.
You take all this and make me something good.
Okay. You hang out for a while?
We can work it out for dinner and a movie.
Oh, I would love that.
Dinner and a movie?
Yeah. We can make it like a date?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be fired.
Oh, well, this is pretty awesome.
I'm probably gonna be fired. You sure this ain't yours?
I'm positive. I mean, my roommate, I don't think she would have ordered anything tonight. She's out to eat with her boyfriend, so.
Hey, well, I never get an opportunity to get a dinner and a movie and a dessert.
Hey, I got a date that showed up at my house.
A dinner, movie, and dessert sounds good for me.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Just park your truck and come around.
All right.
Get you in.
I got some more.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah, go on and get it turned off, and we'll get the rest out then. Shoot. Oh, heck yeah, this is my lucky day. Thank you.
Oh, man, did you catch all that? I mean, aside from the Zach Bryan band having amazing bass there, but he brings the groceries to the wrong house. And apparently he's done with this job. It's like, screw it, just keep the groceries. I'm going to quit. Well, if you're going to give me free groceries, I'll make them for you. Stay for dinner. Dinner and a movie? Yeah, let's go. And what I like about that is, first, I'm happily married, been so for, oh my God, my anniversary's tomorrow.
I miss Parker.
And it'll be, 15 years? So, I've been out of the game for a while, but boy, I have to hear it from my single friends. My friends that never got married, my friends that are divorced or whatever. Oh man, they talk about how terrible it is. You know how hard it is to try and meet someone else when you're in your 40s or 50s or 30s or however old my friends are. I'm like, no, I have no idea. Actually, I don't know what you people are going through. And it's one thing to have game when you're in your 20s. Like everybody's on the market and everybody's looking. But this guy, this is going to be cute because if things go right, what an awesome story that'll be to tell. Like, me and Miss Parker don't have a great how'd you meet story. It's not like, well, I was delivering groceries and I took them to the wrong house and she invited me to stay for dinner and, we've been together ever since. Me and Miss Parker met at a birthday party, and that's it. And she was like the cutest girl there. So, of course, I'm going to go try and talk to her first. And then it just worked out swimmingly. But this is an adorable story. Won't that be fun to tell? Like, what if they end up getting married and having kids? Hey, how'd you meet your mom? I was delivering groceries, wrong house. She invited me for dinner. Wow, what are the odds of that? That's so amazing. And that's something that's never going to make the news either. All this calamity will make the news. Some teacher in Capel is getting sued by the attorney general for trying to teach your kids naughty stuff. That'll make the news. The woman that got hit on 75, so they had to block off southbound 75. Did y'all hear about that story? Like for anyone who has to commute down 75 from like Plano to downtown, northbound, the entire road was cut off because some woman got hit for like 12 hours today. Oh man, I saw that all over social media. That'll make the news. But some poor guy quitting his job on his last leg, who's had it, who's about to just give up on his career and start over. A beautiful woman asks him for dinner, invites him in to make dinner. So that is what could be his lowest moment, may be in retrospect the greatest day of his life. Isn't that fantastic? Coming up next, we're going to talk to Scott Baradell from Idea Grove. And 90% of Americans believe that tipping has gotten way out of hand. Oh, I'm one of that 90%. Are you? 800-288-9227. We'll find out how bad tipping has gotten next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. James Parker here for Home Marketing Service with Bob Lavelle. And this is the guy, whenever you're ready to get out of the rent race, whenever you're serious and you're ready to get in the home ownership game, you're starting to build equity, you're starting to build wealth, this is the guy you need to call first. Bob Lavelle, what can you do to get the person listening into a home today?
Well, I could tell them that since our great president is going to take care of no tax on tips, you need to adjust that when you give the tip. So instead of doing the 20% tip, cut it down to 15.
That's not very helpful, Bob.
No, but they could save that extra money. And, after 20, 30 years, they'd have enough for a real nice down payment.
Well, we had the Federal Reserve say they're not going to move rates today. Should that have any effect on people's willingness to get into a house?
Well, I think it should, because the rates today are not really that bad. And if they're not going to move them, that means they're not going to go up. And that's the way they've been going for the last 2.5, 3 years. So today is not a bad rate. I mean, if you can get a rate in the sixes, you're actually averaging what it's been over the last 40 years or so. And again, if you look at things like these young couples that say, I want to get out of the city, put me into a nice, quaint, quiet little country town, college town, get me a home that's in the low 300s at today's interest rate, you know what? That's better than paying rent.
972-392-9595. Bob Lavelle can make it happen for you, but you got to call him. 972-392-9595. His classic website is blessyourheart.com or 972-392-9595. Thanks again, Bob.
Thank you. Take care.
Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Has tipping gotten out of control in America? Now, I imagine you're probably saying yes, because 90% of Americans said yes to a recent survey on that one. I'm in that 90%. Of course, tipping's gotten out of control. And my next guest, Scott Bairdell from Idea Grove, helps us make sense of some of these market fluctuations and situations. Welcome back, Scott.
Hello.
All right, Scott, I'm going to give you my personal experience on just how far out of control I think tipping has gotten. I don't want to name the eatery, but within walking distance of this studio here for WBAP, I've pretty much gone to everywhere for lunch. And there's this one place where it has a self-serve kiosk. It's an iPad with a little credit card. You can either swipe or use the beeper thing where you just hold it against it. I place my own order. I add all the changes to it. I do the payment mechanism myself. I am then asked, do I want to leave a tip? Scott, who am I leaving a tip to? Like the ethereal concept of tipping? Like this is out of control. That was like most 2024 thing experience I had last year. I don't even know who the tip would go to. So that's when I was like, okay, this is so far out of control. The pendulum's about to swing the other way. Do you have any personal experience with this, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea of self-service kiosks being something where you leave a tip, it is kind of the ultimate, end of this craziness is where it ends up. But there's other things like I took my boys to get a haircut, and you know how it is. The person who cuts your hair, of course, that's someone you usually give a tip. And even before all this madness, you would do that. But, she flips the iPad around and the options are 25, 30, 50%. And I'm like, so if I give my normal 20% tip, then I'm a cheapskate, and you have to do that thing where you have to push the other button or the skip button. So, okay, I guess I'll just go for 30%. This is what there's tip inflation in addition to tipping in very nonsensical situations, like for someone who's just a cashier or if you're just doing a self-service kiosk. It's gotten crazy.
Right, and I'm a guy who, I may sound like a butthead, but I'm quite partial to poor people who live off of tips because for a long time I waited tables and I lived off tips. So, I feel the pain for people in that situation, but like in my scenario, there's no one in that situation. I don't even know who the money goes to. I didn't even see anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and it goes to the larger question of what's going on here. I mean, this all started about 2018. That's when Square and these apps, you could pre-program tip options in the tablet where you're paying, and everyone just started doing it during COVID. People wanted to be especially nice to anyone in service jobs because of all the travails of COVID. So people were fine to tip in situations where you normally didn't. But now we're like, what have we been doing?
Do you think that was because of COVID or the timing just was a coincidence?
Well, it started a couple years before COVID, but I think COVID really accelerated it. Because I think there was a lot of sympathy for people in those roles, but at this point it's like we're just subsidizing what employers should be doing. You know what this Wallet Hub survey showed, in addition to 90% of people saying that tipping has gone too far, is that if their preference would be a system where you could just rate employees on a 1 to 5 scale, say in terms of service, and then the employer would take care of providing them tips or bonuses or that additional compensation. We're subsidizing something that employers should be doing at this point.
Well, I am of the belief that whenever you have the pendulum swinging too far one way, there's an opportunity to catch it when it swings back the other way. And I guess that would manifest itself by, like if there's another eatery around here that's like, hey, you don't have to worry about tipping, no tipping necessary, or tip-free establishment. This could be a feature to entice customers to choose you over the places that are asking you for a haphazard tip.
Yeah, I mean, and there's already places I go to where just because it's so awkward, I just take cash so I don't have to deal with it. But what you're saying, I think, makes sense. But at the same time, we're talking about, and Donald Trump and actually both parties have been in favor of this idea of taking away taxes on tips. So that's even going to make it harder to get away from this tipping culture.
Well, I think we just need to put our foot down at some point because this is going to keep expanding and expanding. And the problem I see, Scott, is that never is anyone tipping your local radio host. I mean, I think that's the real problem here is I'm not in on it, and I don't ever spin around, my debit card machine to even ask for one. So, maybe I'm just jealous.
Yeah, well, it reminds me when I was, I don't get tips either, but it also reminds me when I was delivered pizza for Domino's, and I went to one frat house, and the guy said, oh, hey, and I'm walking away because they weren't tipping me. And I said, oh, I forgot. And he reaches in his pocket. He said, oh, I forgot to give you a tip. And then he said, be healthy, wealthy, and wise. That was my tip. And he told you.
Yeah, guys, that's not appreciated as
Not at all.
A years-long waiter here in the Dallas area. That we don't share that sense of humor. All right, Scott Baradell, how can we reach you outside of WBAP?
My agency is ideagrove.com.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. Where are y'all located?
We are in Dallas.
I knew. I just wanted them to know. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, coming up next, I have some updates on a story I was talking about yesterday. Some people were sending me some links and asking me some questions about what's going on with the real sketchy situation in Irving where they had the shady late night vote at like 2:30 in the morning to approve what could be a casino at the site of the old Texas Stadium. So updates on that story coming up next. And if you have any out of control tipping scenarios, I could probably squeeze that in the last hour too if you give me a call right now. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Like if you've ever been asked to tip like somebody that's not even there, it doesn't even exist. That's what I'm looking for. Give me your craziest tipping story. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Just put that on the sign. No tipping necessary.
Yeah.
Tipping not expected.
Yeah.
Because if 90% of the consumers out there are sick of it, you could probably get more business by highlighting that.
Yeah. Well, my price is already so cheap, I don't have a problem. $12 for a haircut. Where are you going to get that?
Well, I'll come see you after the show, Matt. I'm looking pretty shaggy.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
Thank you, sir. Chavez, Cedar Hill. You got a tipping story for WBAP?
Yeah, I go to a couple of these establishments that they charge you, put the tip on there. Can you contest that legally?
I don't know if you can contest that legally. Now, if I'm paying cash and I got terrible service, I would be tempted to add in everything except for the tip. But I've never been in that situation. All it does is make me just not want to go there next time. And so I have a feeling if people are getting upset about this, that these people are going to be shooting themselves in the foot. But someone has to start advertising the alternative, I think.
Yeah, because they say people over, if you have over 5 or 6 patrons going in, this automatic tip. So that's a automatic $30 tip.
Well, when I waited tables, most restaurants had the rule that it was parties of 8 or more had automatic tipping, and I think it's all legal. You just have to put a sign up or put it on the menu. Automatic gratuities included, or parties of over 8 have automatic gratuity. That was the law when I was there, but I haven't waited tables in like 20 years, so I'm a little behind on that one. All right, thank you, Chavez. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, bud. Bye-bye.
This is Kenny in Dallas. You're on WBAP. What's your thoughts on tipping?
I had a story similar to yours where you go in, you order at a kiosk, and it asks you to add a tip. And then I go to sit down, and then they call my number, and I have to go up and pick up the food myself and bring it back to the table. If I want water, they've got pitchers on a counter. I have to go pour my own water. And I was like, I should be tipping 25% because I did a really damn good job.
Yeah, you should be getting the tip. Yeah, exactly. Now you got the right idea. Like, and I don't even work here. They didn't give you a T-shirt or anything, did they, Kenny?
Not at all.
All right. That's going to do it for the James Show. Come on out and hang out with us this coming Tuesday. We're having the next James Show listener meet and greet. And it's not just to come hang out with me. I'm not that big of a deal. I think you people need to hang out with each other and meet some other like-minded people. Some of you complain about there's not a lot to do socially around here. All right, fine. We'll do something about it. Come out to Plano Sports Tavern. It's at the corner of Parker and Custer. We're doing it at about 7 p.m. until just whenever. I'm going to have some giveaways. I got a bag of swag here from the promo department. There's nothing immaculate. I'm not giving away a Cybertruck or anything, but I'll try and make it worth your while. And I guess I'm going to have to get some tickets and we'll do a raffle for the giveaways or whatnot. So if you don't want to just come out and meet me or meet some of my awesome listeners, maybe I can bribe you with free stuff. All right, after the James Show is over, I'm going to go put up the podcast. You can find it at WBAP.com, WBAP app, or where you're already listening to podcasts. Also, do me a favor. Find me on social media. Next time you're on the throne, you know what I'm talking about, the handicap stall, and you're just goofing around, killing time on your phone, kill some time with me. Look up James Parker. Look up The James Show. Look up WBAP on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're at. Follow me, like it, love it, share it, whatever. Mark Levin's next, so stick around. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.